Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you're tuning in. This is Dealing with the Aftermath. Dealing with the Aftermath. Coming out as pure gold. With your hosts, Tanya Reeves, Mary Hale, Patricia Brooks, Beatrice Carter, and Tennille M. Jackson. Dealing with the Aftermath. The show helping you with all your tissue issues. Hello, ladies, and happy Valentine's Day to everybody. How are you ladies doing? Let's chime in. Let's start with Miss Mary. Welcome back again for week two, Mary. How are you?
I'm fine. Actually, I'm great. Much better than I was last week.
That's awesome. Tanya, how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good. Feeling blessed today. Glad to be here. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Awesome. Miss Beatrice, how are you?
I'm okay today. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Y'all look pretty in that red.
I
Thank
know, right? And last, but certainly not least, Miss Patricia, how you been, ma'am?
I have been awesome. Happy Valentine's Day, ladies. I love the red.
I know, right? We did
My
that.
favorite color.
I guess we got to say a little bit of thank you to Tanya for kind of putting it out there. Hey, let's wear red since it's Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to all of you all who may be tuning in. Thank you so much, whether you're watching from Facebook, on my page, or within our group dealing with the aftermath. Even on YouTube, we want to say hello. And we encourage that you please feel free to chime in with whatever questions that you may have. Put it on the comment section. Again, we always encourage you, just as long as you remain respectful and it stays on topic. Always feel free to comment. Let us know where you are watching from. So today, ladies, we are talking about love, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, before we get on that though, because that's going to be really kind of interesting, I want to get you guys perspective about this. I saw a post today that pretty much posed this question. If you are in a relationship of any kind, whether you are married or just in a relationship, a committed relationship, A was, do you still celebrate Valentine's Day? And two, if you do, why? So I want to kind of go around in a round circle. Do you guys, if you're in relationships or even when you were in relationships, and I'll come back and I'll say why it is that the question was asked at the end. But Mary, we'll start with you. Do you celebrate Valentine's Day still? And if so, why? If not, why not?
I actually don't celebrate Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day to me is every day now. So it's like I celebrate birthday, Valentine's Day, all in one on each day. Now,
Gotcha.
the reason I don't celebrate, I don't have a reason for not celebrating. I still have stuff that I haven't opened from previous Valentine's Day. So, no.
Gotcha. Come on, Miss Tanya, chime in. Do you celebrate one? Are you want to celebrate Valentine's Day?
I am spoiled. So yes, I love being pampered on Valentine's Day, but my significant other always reminds me that he celebrates me every day. So I'm like, okay, but I still want my extra time. So
Come on,
he
Miss D.
look,
What
he
about you?
listened.
That's pretty.
That's
Thank you.
gorgeous. Do you celebrate it, Miss D? Or have you been known to celebrate it?
Uh yeah, on and off. I don't it's never been a big holiday for me. I'm kind of quirky. I I'm not opposed to celebrating it at all, but I'd rather be celebrated every day than one day. And it's gotten pretty commercialized, and I like flowers. I love flowers, but I like them all year round. And probably the same bouquet of flowers that maybe somebody would buy for you on March 15th that may cost, I don't know, $25, $30 for a beautiful bouquet. It's gonna be like 65, 70, $80 on Valentine's Day. And I
Yeah,
just, yeah,
yeah,
that's me. That's just me. That's
I
just me.
got you. What about you, Miss Patricia?
I do celebrate Valentine's Day. I love Valentine's Day. It's probably one of my um, high up there holidays. And that's because I started gifting my daughter when she was very, very young. And so that was my gift to her. This was, pre marriage, pre men, pre whoever. So it was just me and my daughter. And so when I started gifting her, my sisters caught on to that, and I started gifting them. So regardless whether they have a man or not, I am their Valentine. Hook or crook, I better buy them something. Has been going on for years. So that was a family thing. It had nothing to do with a man. So my husband sports me all the time. So I don't really care. I love flowers as well. And so we do gift each other for Valentine's Day. For me, it's really about the card and what's put wrote in it. So that is what pulls at my heartstrings. And so, yeah, I celebrate. I don't have a problem with it. I don't buy into the commercialism of anything. If I want to do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree with that. For me, is Valentine's Day, I look at that the same way as like Mother's Day, Father's Day. And that was really the point of this post that I referenced at the beginning. The person was basically saying that you shouldn't get in the habit of only celebrating the person that you love one day out the year, right? And then we know later on down the line you come the sweetest day, but it's still the same concept. If you are constantly showing love and appreciation to those whom you love, then you don't have to wait until a particular day of the year. And Patricia, I just have to say that I love the idea of allowing your children and your family to be your Valentines as well, because Valentine's Day is really showing about who you love. And I
Hmm.
think that we always limit it to just being a significant other, but we
Right.
definitely want to take a moment to greet all of those who are watching, to Miss Augie and Shalonda and Jennifer and everybody else who may be tuning in. We want to thank you guys so much and remind you a couple things. One, you can always feel free to like and share the video and tag somebody that you believe will benefit from the broadcast. And two, if you are not already part of our Facebook group, dealing with the aftermath, feel free to join that group, because after a while we will not be streaming from my personal page. We will only be streaming the show from inside the group. So it is a public group. You can Google it, dealing with the aftermath, and go ahead and join us in the group. Miss Shalonda says, I don't need Valentine's Day, my birthday is the week before. So for all of those who have days close, again, you can go ahead and then I see so many people who celebrate their birthdays, not just the day of. I got friends that
The
celebrate
whole
all
month.
week long, all month long.
No one says anything to these people. No one says, hey, your birthday was on the 15th and this is the 30th. No one says that about birthdays, but everything else is so commercialized. Oh my God, Valentine's Day, sweetest day, Mother's Day. But no one says that about a birthday. Why
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to jump right into tonight's topic. We last week we kind of was talking about our favorite celebrity couples, and then we got a little bit deeper because we went from celebrity couples to then kind of talking about our own relationships, right? And so tonight we're kind of going to delve a little bit deeper into that. We're going to be talking about love and what we're supposed to be talking about. We'll see where we actually go with it, but talking about our first loves, right? So the good, the bad, and the ugly of love. So let's start with the good. So Mary, we'll start with you. Do you remember your first love, like what that was? Was it good? Let's start with that. Do you remember any good from your first love?
I'm still with my first love.
Look at God. Would you come on? Would you come on with that?
That is
Would
so
you tell
good.
the people?
I Yeah, and it was good at the beginning. It's always good at the beginning. It's just that when you all start staying together and you realize how different you are.
Baby, can I say
Yeah,
it, baby?
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Miss Tanya, what about you? Anything good about your first love that you remember?
Whew. Well, we yet have two beautiful grown kids together and some grandbabies, but
We're gonna leave it there. That's about it.
yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing negative. So yeah, he's a
That's
good
good.
guy. He's still
That's
my
good.
friend.
Yes, yes. Come on, Miss Beatrice. What about you? Your first love. Anything good from it?
Well, I have two first loves. My high school sweetheart and then my college sweetheart. And they both were pretty good guys. As a matter of fact, I'm still friends with both of them after all these 40 years or so, something like that. They're good people from good families. It's just that they were boys. And I think I mentioned to you guys a while ago that what formulated this for me was that both of my first two boyfriends got girls pregnant while we were dating.
Oh,
And up until that point, till I found out, I was fine. I liked them very much. And to me, it was smooth sailing. But once that happened, I can't tolerate that. I
mhm.
can't tolerate cheating. I couldn't tolerate it when I was 16, 19, 20. I can't tolerate it now. And so that kind of ended both of those relationships for me.
Yeah, so we're gonna
Yeah.
put that on pause because that sounds like both the bad and the ugly. We will definitely come back to that. But Miss Patricia, what about you? Do you remember your first love? Any of the good takeaways from it?
Can you guys hear me?
Hmm?
Yes.
Okay. I'm having a hearing issue. So I do not remember my first love. But baby, I had a crush. Ooh, I crushed on this little boy, baby. It was so chocolate. Oh, that chocolate boy.
Yeah, chocolate is good. Chocolate is good, not
Yes, it
just on
is.
Valentine's Day, but
I
all the
know,
time.
right? I know. And listen. While we talk about Valentine's Day and be crushing on this boy, I had been crushing on him for so long, girl.
Oh, Jesus.
And across the street from my house, we would get on the bus in the morning to go to school. Now we didn't go to the same school, but and this was on Valentine's. I will never forget. Valentine's Day had snow. And girl, I saw him come out the McDonald's. Girl, I like to have that. Like, Lord, please give me a McMuffin and a biscuit or something. Woo!
Oh,
I know y'all laughing at me. I know I'm comical, but that boy, I had a very hard crush on him. But as far as first love, I really need to go back in my memory back and see like who was I loving on? Who was my first love? I really don't think I had one. It might be my husband. I gotta go back and see because I've been knowing him since I was a teenager, so it might be him. I don't know.
y'all see
I
why we
love
love
it.
Patricia over in these parts. Let me tell you something. You gotta have somebody that's gonna always make you laugh. And I think we all make each other laugh, but Patricia's always that extra one that's just gonna give it to you, right? So, like for me, I won't necessarily say first love, I will say puppy love, right? Because I want to say I was like I think I was like 15, 16, something like that. So I was in high school, little crush or whatever. And when you start quote unquote dating when you're in high school, it look a little bit different because this is your school boyfriend. So this is just, and again, it's a different time. So how they do it now, I don't know. But like in my time, my parents were super duper strict. So you weren't even able to talk about out loud that you got a boyfriend. You got a what? You know what I'm saying? So like that was just like a no. So it was like basically just for me, this was the one that I saw at school. And oh my goodness, you talking about your heart skipping a beat and going pitter patter every time you see him go down the hallway. And I like the jock type, so he was on the football team. And we gonna just leave it there with the good, because thereafter, if I keep on with the story, we gonna soon transition into the bad. Okay, but let's just
And
end it
and
with.
I had some of them little puppy love crushes and everything, even in even in elementary school and middle school. But my first, I always knew my mama was kind of strict, but not super strict. But I always knew I couldn't date until I turned 16. That's just the rule. That's just the rule, cut and dry. That's just the rule. So my first high school boyfriend was when I was 16. So it was love, I think it was, but I had some of them crushes. Yeah,
Yeah,
some of them little
I don't
crushes.
think that I really knew what love was, and I think that that might be an issue as well. Like sometimes you think you know what love is, like either based off what you've seen on TV or based off of other people's relationships and stuff. And I think for me, I just couldn't believe at that point. I couldn't believe I liked the boy and the boy liked me back. Like, because has anybody else had that experience? Like you like him, but he like her, and she ain't
Yeah,
studying him. She like somebody else.
yeah,
Right.
So it was like I
yeah,
only liked the boy that liked me back. So like that whole feeling
yeah.
of acceptance and and he was cute and he was like the boy that, because you know how like with us, well, I don't know about y'all, so I might be telling on myself, but sometimes you like to have the boy that everybody else want to like too, because then it make you feel special
Yeah.
because they with you. But then that kind of transitions to the bad, because
Hmm.
everybody like them. And depending on the type of person that they are, they might start liking everybody back. But before we start transitioning, again, we want to welcome everybody to today's show, dealing with the aftermath. We are talking about love, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And specifically, we're kind of hitting on our first loves. Miss Yolanda said her first love and her got together in 1987. They were together off and on for 30 plus years, married for 12. So she ended up marrying her first love. And matter of fact, let me share this with everybody so that y'all can see this, even those that might be on Facebook.
Shalonda.
Yeah, she said they had some good times. However, the bad outweighs the good, but they do have a beautiful 9-year old together. And so that seems to be kind of like the recurring thing, right? Like, I don't care what life presents you. It's never going to be just all one thing. It's never going to be all good, but at the same time, it won't be all bad either. So it's really for us to kind of take it and make it what we want to be. Hello, Miss Portia, to everybody else that is tuned in, whether you're tuning in on my page or the Dealing with the Aftermath page or the YouTube page. Thank you all for tuning in. We welcome all of you. We welcome your comments as well as your questions. And so for this segment, Miss Mary is going to join us back. She was talking about how she has been with her first love, like even now. Her first love is who she's currently married to. And she talked about it was great sometime, but then there are some bad parts to that.
Yeah.
So, Mary, why don't you start kind of tuning us in? What's some of the bad to love?
Well, you you have to grow in your finances. You have to grow in your eating habits. You have to grow in your cleaning habits. It's a coming together and I guess respecting each other's space, or growing with each other and respecting the fact that, you know, I don't like this and he doesn't like that, or whatever the situation may be. And then you have those arguments because you can't agree on different things. And sometimes you can't agree on how to raise the kids, or you can't agree on how you want to spend your money. Like you might want an outfit. When you're young, you gonna go get that outfit, irregardless. Because look, I work, I'm going to get it. Okay. However, when you get older, you recognize the fact that bills have to be paid, and you have to survive, and you have to come together. So yeah, there is the good, there is the good and the bad. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you have to
Well,
agree to disagree. should I say?
We gonna go back to Miss D because Jennifer says that she experienced the same thing that you did and that you're not alone. So you started telling us about that ugly. So why don't we go a little bit more into uh well, we just gonna keep the bad. Don't go too ugly with us. Just keep it what happened with the bad ages.
For me,
Mm-hmm.
well, like I said, my first high school real boyfriend, we were dating, we were courting. I'm pretty old, so that was the time that you talked on the phone a little bit, but you couldn't talk real late. And then if they were gonna pick you up for a date, the fellow was gonna pick you up for a date. He had to come in the house and he had to be approved. It wasn't no blowing the horn and all that stuff. And every once in a while, he could come and sit in the living room and talk to you. And if your parents or my mom or whatever got to know him, then you were trusted to go out. And sometimes, not all the time. And so he was my boyfriend for real, and I think I was in love for real. But he just, I hate to say boys will be boys because girls cheat too sometimes, but that's what he did. And some people, I lived in a small town. And so some people in my town started talking about it. I didn't know about it. And so I just asked him point blank. He said, yeah. And I was like, okay, that's it. Go be with her. And actually, him and her dated on and off, and they wound up getting married. Wow. And had some more children. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And but I don't know how much I was in love because I got over that pretty quick. But then my college boyfriend, I think I was even more in love with him. And it happened, and that was devastating to me. I don't know if it was because it was the second time or I was older. That was devastating to me, and it really messed me up for a little bit.
Okay, you know what? We finna just veer off a little bit. Tanya and Patricia, I'm gonna come back to y'all on the bad, but just by show of hands, how many of you guys have been cheated on? By show of hands, anybody been cheated on? Okay, so what makes being cheated on so bad? Tanya, I'm gonna start with you. Why is give me just one aspect of it. One aspect of why being cheated on is so bad.
It if if you're not strong in the first place, it can destroy whatever self-esteem or self-confidence you have left.
Yeah, yeah. Patricia, what's your take on it?
It's deception. If I came into a agreement with you and we're supposed to be monogamous, then let's do that. If not, you give me the right to decide if I want to be there or not because of what you want to do. So don't deceive me. And so that I believe that's what it is.
Well, I'm gonna chime in real quick. Like, I definitely have to second Tanya's emotion. Like, it's definitely a thing because see, for me, I am one who I was cheated on before multiple times. Like, I'm not, and from the same person, like in different relationships, multiple times. So I think it goes back to what Tanya talked about, how if you have that low self-esteem, because I think that when you have low self-esteem, then you allow things like you make excuses for it, because whether it's because you don't feel like you can get any better or because you feel like you're so lucky to have that person or I mean, like just from the low self-esteem issue, but then you can have somebody who's a manipulator and so
Yeah.
they can make you feel like, well, if you were doing better or if you were doing your part, then they wouldn't have to go out and do this, that, or a third. And so it can, going back to what Patricia said, lead to that feeling of deception, which then makes it where you have a problem trusting people because it's like, okay, because I've been cheated on before, then even you can have a whole different person. But it's like when you start seeing them do something, and it could be legit what they're doing, but just because in your mind it mimics what the other person did, now there's a trigger there. And so it can really kind of negatively affect a potentially good relationship just because of what you suffered before. So the question that I want to have, that I want to pose is, and I'll start with Mary, do you feel that once a person, so whether you did the cheating or whether you were cheated on, should you go to counseling after that situation? Just you, not you and the couple, but should you go to counseling after that? Do you think that counseling is something that needs to, that's something that counseling should address?
Well, I have never been to counseling. Um, I guess we counseled each other, you know. Um, and so, like Tanya was saying, emotionally, it does something to you emotionally and spiritually. I mean, and then, yeah, if you do have low self esteem, it messes with you and it stays there for a long time. And that trust, you have trust issues, and that's something, I guess I grew from it, you
Mhm,
know. I don't have low self-esteem.
mhm.
So I enjoyed me. I went with me, hey, I'm not gonna let you drag me down or her drag me down or whatever that situation may be because I'm gonna be me. I'm still gonna live. But no,
Yeah.
I never went to counseling.
Okay. Did either of you other ladies go to counseling as a result of trust issues or feeling hurt or deceived or anything like that?
I've
Not
gone to counseling, but not for that.
that.
Okay.
Not for
Not for
that.
that.
And
Right.
but you know what I will say, although neither did I will say that I wish that I did, and
Yes.
not for the cheating incident per se, but for the deeper cause of my hurt, right?
Yes.
Because for
Mm-hmm.
what I learned, because I didn't know at that time, right? Because again, I was way younger, but I didn't know at that time. But now, being the age that I am, looking back, because I the root for me was negative, no, low self-esteem. And so it became a pattern. So it was like, once I got cheated on, so for me it was a thing like, what's wrong with me? You see what I'm saying? So I internalized it when it happened to me. And so then when it happened again, it was it was more so like, well, I'm just the type of person that people feel they can cheat on. Do you see what I'm
Yes.
saying? So like
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like how Mary said she had such high level self-esteem. I didn't. So like, so from the beginning, I struggled with low self-esteem before I ever got into a relationship. So I will just pause right here to say, for whoever may be watching, that I think that before you enter into a relationship, make sure that you are healthy all the way around, right? Like, make sure that you love yourself, make sure that you respect yourself, make sure that you know that you are worthy. Because I think that when you enter into a relationship, in the ideal world, this is a person that's going to love you, cherish you, value you, never do anything to hurt you. But the reality is that you don't always have relationships that end cordially. And so if you're broken when you come to the table, the relationship can leave you shattered. And some people never recover from certain things happening to them. And if they do, it's like you got all these fragments. Like, have you ever shattered a vase or something before? You can get all of the pieces and put them back together, but it's still never 100%, right? And so I know for me, and again, I don't want to monopolize it. I do want to go to Tanya in terms of asking her experience. So for me, it was like when I was cheated on the very first time with this first love. So I found out that he had cheated. And again, this is my high school boyfriend. I only see him at school. Deatrice, unlike you, I didn't have parents that was like, once you 16, I was 16. No, my parents just didn't, my father was a pastor, so we was super duper strict, okay? And so it was a point that he was my boyfriend at school, or I was sneak and call him, or y'all know you sneak and do some things, whatever. So the point was that I found out from somebody that he was dealing with a girl that didn't even go to our school. Broke me, right? So then that actually kind of affected my mindset, and I'm trying to see just exactly how deep I want to go with this, how transparent I want to be, because it was deep. Because we were not sexually active in our relationship, and it his thing was, he knew that I was a virgin, and he did not want to take my virginity, because he would always say he respected me too much. And so for me, it became a thing where I loathed being a virgin, because I felt like that this whole virginity thing was what was keeping me back from having the guy that I really, really was wrapped up in. So that when I found out that it wasn't just that he was liking on her, but that he was sexing on her, like, it kind of messed me up mentally. And that's gonna go to the ugly. So we gonna leave right now with the bad. Go ahead, Tanya. What's your bad?
My bad is very, very similar to your bad. I was with my first love for a while. I think we were 15 when we first started dating. It was like puppy love. And then I found out that I wasn't the only one. But he did his thing. He, manipulated me and I almost said something mean. Lord, forgive my thought. But he should have been lucky and blessed to have me. And I didn't know that at the time.
I know
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
But we are, I won't even call him a friend now. He is my children's father. I'll put it like that. That's the best way to put it. Because friends love each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, he recently, and I'm trying to be careful what I say because I know my children could potentially watch this. But he said something to me recently that struck a nerve, and he hit my hot button, and I went all the way back to 1987 on him. I said, hold on. He told me that I should be privileged that he wants to come and see me
Mm-hmm.
and that he wants to talk to me and that he wants to be in a relationship with me. And I said, first of all, I'm not interested in being in a relationship with you. We were teenagers when that happened. I am a grown 50-year-old woman who has morals,
Mm-hmm.
who loves herself now more
Mm-hmm.
than anything I've ever. I ain't never been so in love with myself. I'm not conceited. I just love myself, which is what I'm supposed to do. And I told him, you have to learn how to love yourself too. Because you should not ever in your life come out your mouth and tell me that I should be privileged that you would like to have a relationship. First of all, I'm taken.
Absolutely.
I ain't heard from him no more.
That's, but that's how it is a lot of times when you deal with people who just want to get the best of you.
Yeah,
Once you actually discover the truth about yourself, and then they realize that they can no longer manipulate you. And so for them, there's no benefit anymore, right? So
that,
Jennifer says a part of you dies when a relationship ends badly with someone that you really loved and cared
yeah.
for.
Because
So,
they can say some really horrible, mean things, and it's not even what they say, it's what they do. It wasn't even so much of the cheating. Um, it was the way he did it. Like people that I knew to this day, he slept with somebody who was supposed to be a friend of mine, but he won't tell me her name. So now I have to walk around here not knowing who this person is. If
yeah.
this person even still, because when I see my friends, we meet up when we have our class reunion. We have a whole alumni reunion. Everybody from my high school comes to this picnic every year. Post pandemic, pre pandemic,
Mhm.
and so I'm every female that came up to me, it was in my mind, were you her?
Is it
You know what I'm
that?
saying? And I had to get over that. I don't want to be thinking about I'm in a whole nother relationship. Why do I care? And the fact that he kept bringing it up to me, now he keep bringing I'm like, look, I don't even need to be entertaining conversation with you. I'm in
Mhm,
a happy relationship.
mhm,
You move on, I moved on. Do what
mhm,
you got to do. I'm doing what I got to do. And then on top of that, he sees my progress. He sees the things that God is doing in my life and he wants a part of it. He feels like I can be a blessing or a help to him. That will never happen. God
mhm.
bless you, but you can't have none of this over here. This is for me and my family.
Absolutely.
You have your grandkids, enjoy them. But me, you will get none.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are just tuning into tonight's episode, we are talking about love, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And specifically, we're actually talking about our first loves and the good of the first loves, the bad of the first loves. And now we're about to go to the ugly. And so that's gonna be deep. We want to welcome Miss Mary back. We're talking about the ugly part of love. And it just I want to kind of open it up where it doesn't just have to be um it doesn't have to just specifically be about your first love, but just in general, what have you found to be the ugly part of love? Go ahead, Mary.
Well, I'm not sure because, and I've been married a long, long time. I know it's been a lot of situations. I guess it would be the arguments of going back and when you get caught up in your feelings or, you can't come to an agreement and different stuff like that. And when you're younger, it's like, okay, you're more stubborn, should I say. You're more stubborn when you're younger. I'm at this age now where we can go back and forth and we can come back and just have a whole nother conversation like nothing happened.
Mhm,
But before
mhm,
that was not the situation. So and I guess it has a lot to do with the maturity level that you're at or where you are when you get into that relationship. We were young, so I was at fighting age, and
yeah,
that's what I did.
yeah.
I
Understood.
don't go that
Understood.
route anymore, but it happened. That's the ugly
Absolutely.
part.
Absolutely. Miss Patricia, we gonna come to you. But Shalonda said being cheated on is devastating no matter the age. She's been separated almost 4 years and he knows that she'll never date until she's divorced. She says, I would never wish that pain on anyone. I would feel I'm cheating because I'm married. Is that crazy? So that's a good question. Before and I'm glad that you shaking your head, Patricia, because I want you to start with answering it, and then we'll chime in on answering this question, and we'll jump back to the ugly part of love. So Shalonda's question is a good one. If you are separated, but you are still legally married, is it okay to date, or are you actually cheating if you're dating? Even though you're divorcing, or you're separated with intent to divorce, do you still consider it cheating to date someone while you're still in that process?
So, excuse me. To answer her question, no, you are not crazy. I do not think that people should date when they are still legally married. Um, Maybe casual dating, but trying to get in relationships, trying to be, monogamous with somebody and thinking having them think that maybe I can marry you. No, because you are still legally married. Now, this can, get into some tough waters because we don't know the ins and out of everybody's legal divorce or legal separation. I don't know why this man won't give Shalonda a divorce. You know what I'm saying? And I think she said in her question that he knows she's not going to date until she's divorced. So to me, that seems like he's holding something over her head. Maybe he won't sign the papers, or maybe he won't do the thing that he needs to do because obviously they've been separated for 4 years. I'm sure and she can answer this herself, that she's moved on from this gentleman. You know what I'm saying? Her feelings are probably no longer there. She's probably detached. She's probably like, dude, I just need you to do what you need to do
Sign
so
the
I can
paper.
move on.
Yeah.
I can move on with my life. And he won't do it. So all of these are individual situations, right? Everybody's divorce is not the same. We don't know why these things happen, but I really don't think people should get into long lasting relationships when they are still legally divorced. I mean,
That's
I'm sorry, legally married.
Carrie, we got you. Miss D, what do you think? Should you date while you are legally separated? Is it okay to date?
I agree with Patricia. I don't think people do what they do, but I don't think it's a good idea to date when you're still legally married. Um, every situation is absolutely different. Sometimes people can't afford the divorce, but baby, I'm gonna get a second job or something if we have said, you know, cause you holding me up from life. You may not be holding me up from just dating. You holding
Right,
me up from life,
that
if
part.
that's the case. Or I could be holding you up from life, if that's the case. I just think, and Patricia said that it may be casual dating or something like that. The issue with that is sometimes when you casually date a person, you're not intending to fall in love or get serious or get engaged or get, but sometimes it
But it
happens.
happened.
Happens. My
Yeah.
God.
So then when it happens, then that's a whole nother
Right.
issue, a
So
whole
then
nother
I can't
ball of
even
wax.
casually date. So then, yeah, I need to do like, come on, we about to go to blows or something about to
Yeah.
happen. Like I got to get you taken care of. Like I can meet me outside or meet my cousins.
Cash me outside.
You about to get dealt with because I need you to sign papers like right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me say this. Let me say this even to that. First of all, let me say I do agree with what everybody is saying. Like, so in an ideal world, you're separated from your significant other, and you know that it's the end, right? But here's the thing to Dee's point, because this is where, since we're talking about ugly, this is where the ugly comes in. Somebody has now come into your life, and maybe they've gotten connected to you and they now see there being a future with you, but now y'all can't do nothing because you still connected to this person. And until the names is on the dotted line, it's always a chance that reconciliation may occur. Like in regards to you saying, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, like understanding that there's still that possibility. And so then that's not fair to the other person. And then you don't know that other person's level of cray cray, because now you done played with their heart, you done sold them a dream. And depend again, we don't know. So let me stop and give the disclosure again. We are not marital counselors, regular counselors, licensed counselors. We're not therapists. We're not psychiatrists. We're not any of that, not attorneys. We are simply ladies that's done been through a thing or two a few times, and we're simply sharing our advice and our experience. But the
Right.
fact of the matter is that you don't know what that person might think. Some people believe in dating somebody that ain't got nothing to, that so basically you're on the same level where you ain't got to worry about them, they ain't got to worry about you. But in either case, it still becomes an issue. But to that point of waiting until you get divorced, here's the thing. Do you understand how difficult it is? All the hoops and loops they make you go through to get divorced. Like it's so much simpler.
Absolutely.
It's
I
so much
do.
simpler to get married than it is to
Yeah.
get
It's
divorced.
cheaper to
Yeah.
keep her.
And so it's like, because you got to go through all. First of all, you in many of the states you have to be separate. You have to be legally separated for at least 6 months, right? So meaning that y'all in separate situations, or at the very least, even if you're in the same house, there has
Right.
been no relations between you guys or whatever. So you got to be legally separated for 6 months. Then there are other steps like file the paperwork. It ain't just as simple as going to say, I want to be divorced. I don't like him no more. Go ahead, Tanya. Seem like you want to chime in. Go
Man,
ahead, girl.
I was just you was hitting my trigger points when I went through when I went through my divorce. he didn't really fight me for the divorce. He was trying to get visitation and joint custody of the children, and that's what held up our progress mostly, because neither one of us wanted no parts of a marriage together. So that part, I was he knew it was, no, this is over with. It ain't no need of us even going to counseling, none of that. Just give me my divorce. I give you your divorce. However, whoever's holding it up, that sign these papers. We did go for a while about the children. Um, he was still secretly going to court. I didn't even know, trying to get visitation rights and custody and all that of my children up until they turned 18. So, but the thing is, what you all were saying as far as dating, I when I first got out of that situationship, um, I did date someone immediately after, and it was out of vulnerability and hurt, and I just needed something to heal me. And that's what I thought. It's like a pacifier. I thought I needed to be, held. And I did do something I should not have done as far as getting in a relationship that soon. He was another devil, but he wasn't like that one. He was just another one. And I clearly, I was able to quickly see it, and I broke it off within 6 months. Um, but it taught me a lesson that I should have prayed before I made another move. I should have prayed, and I should have got myself together, and I should have got healed before I started seeing anybody else, because I brought that man around my children, and I put my children back in danger. Just not even thinking about kids, I was thinking about my hurt and myself. So for women who have children, that's the first thing you got to do, is think about your kids. Forget about everything else. Think about your children. Put your children first, and that will keep you and them safe.
Child, wait a minute, because that goes into some more of the ugly. When you're talking about in a relationship, in a bad relationship, a relationship that you personally know you're at the end of it, but there's children, because
Mhm.
now, because of the children, and especially if you are a good parent, you know what, I don't like to say that, because everybody's definition of what a good parent is different. So if I'll say it like this, especially if you are the type of parent who does not believe in breaking up a home, like the appearance of a home. So I want for my children to have connection to their father. I want my children to have connection to their mother. So like you may feel like you're doing them a favor to stay in the home. And so it's like you want to leave, and depending on the type of person that you're with. Because I do want to put this on a record to say we're not just saying that this is just men who does this. Women do it too. So this is not a gender based topic or gender based show. This is a situation
But
where if
we're
it's
just talking about our experiences because we so happen to be women.
that's that's
but
that's what
but
that is.
but we looking forward to next week. So you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. But the thing about it is just that it further complicates the relationship. Did Shalonda say, baby? She said, baby. But it further complicates the situation, because where you may be at a point that you're done with the relationship, and you're done with the relationship. And as Tanya said, you recognize we're not compatible, we don't work well together, but then you got them little munchkins over there. And if they're not just like 1 or 2 years old, if they're old enough to have memories, they're old enough to have that connection. And even if you and the other person are great co-parents, now is not just about the relationship with you and that person. Now you have to consider what would be best for the child. So D, I'm going to ask you, in a situation where so I'm with somebody, our relationship ain't working, we know it's not working, but we have children. Do you feel, because there are some that feel that if it's toxic, you should leave. It's some that feels like come hell or high water, you should stay because it's about honoring your vows, or you should stay because that's what's best for the child. But some say that, well, children are old enough to be able to see what's going on. So keeping them in the midst of toxicity isn't healthy for them either. What do you feel should be the case if you have a bad relationship, but you have children? What do you think you should do? What's your opinion?
Oh, that's a deep question. I've lived all of that. All of that. I was gonna bring up bypassing those two younger relationships. But part of my issue, I've been divorced, was, this is a whole nother topic, but it relates to this. Because I grew up without a father, because my father passed away when I was just a baby, that colored some of the decisions when I was married. So as to what you're saying, I don't believe that you should stay in a toxic relationship. If it's super toxic, you need to get out. But sometimes people stay for different reasons. And my reason I stayed longer than I should have was because I didn't grow up in the household with the father, and I wanted my children to grow up in the household with the father. I deep inside me, and this is in a perfect world, I don't think children should have to be tussled from one household to the other household. Now that happened, but I don't think that's optimum. But it's also not optimum for them to stay in a toxic household. And what I have to say about that is that I stayed longer than I should have for my children, or I thought for my children, and then I left for my children. So that's my story. That's my story. Because once the children grow up, even if they're not seeing things or don't hear you fussing, or they know, they can feel it. They know it's not like just mom and dad. Oh, they fussed a little bit, and like normal people do. Arguments, they happen and whatever. But once they realize they don't even like each other, and they might almost hate each other. And so then at that point, it's like, are you staying because you want your children? And it could be for a man too. Are you staying because you want your children to grow up in a two-parent household? Man with his wife, or woman with her husband? Or has it gotten so bad that the alternative to a two-parent household is better than staying in a toxic two-parent household?
Yeah, that's good. And you know what? I think that we need to come back. We're going to revisit the topic of co parenting, right? Because the fact of the matter is that it happens all the time where relationships don't work out, whether you're talking about a marriage or just this is a long term relationship, one that I thought was going to be forever, and then something just happens where it doesn't work out. That is reality.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, you end up having children. And I am one that believes that there is still a way, even if I don't like you as my significant
Mhm.
other, as long as you are good to our children,
Yes.
right? And I think that sometimes you have both parties, whether it's the mom or the dad, who uses the child as that pawn to
Yeah.
try to get at the other parent, and that's where things go wrong. And so I want for us, we're going to bookmark this conversation, and we're going to come back, and we invite you guys to join us when we have this show in March, where we talk about co-parenting. We want to obviously we're going to try to bring on some co-parents who, you know what, it didn't work out between us. We realized it, but for the sake of our child, we wanted to keep things cordial. For the sake of our child, we were not going to argue in front of them. We were not going to disagree in front of them, because somebody talked about I think it was Mary talked about the level of maturity. You have to mature when you have children, whether you want to or not. You have to mature to understand that this is no longer about you. It's about
Right.
what's best for them. And so, y'all, believe it or not, we are already at the end of this hour. So I want for everybody to come back with their final, you know how we say it, we got our hearts and minds are clear moment. So we're about to come on out and everybody touch on whatever you want to touch on, whatever you want to leave with the audience on tonight about love. So it's up to you, good, bad, or ugly, whatever it is that you want to leave with the audience about love. And Mary, we will start with you.
Well, I just wanted to say marriage is work. Marriage is a lot of work. And it's like a partnership. You know, I might love McDonald's and they might love Burger King, but we have to come to some kind of common ground. And sometimes you want to dominate Burger King or you want to dominate McDonald's, and you can't find that ultimate uh, way to agree with each other. So you both fall. So that partnership is gone. But yet you have these other companies coming up with the kids, and so you have to find a way to deal with the children. Yeah, so it's all about partnership and business and love.
That's good. That's good. Come on, Miss Tanya.
So the thing that I wanted to say, I learned from the relationships, the experiences, and I was able to pass that down to my children. And I would like whoever's listening, male and female, understand that when you're in a relationship with somebody, you can have a disagreement. Just don't disrespect one another. Have your disagreement, talk about it. Just do not disrespect one another, because once you start with the disrespect, that's when the hatred and all the other extra stuff comes with it. And the only real people that are getting hurt are your children.
So
When you
true.
separate, those children are put in the middle of y'all mess. And
Mhm.
that's it. I'll save the rest for the co-parenting segment.
That's great. Come on, Miss D.
I just like to leave us with those two experiences. For whatever reason, I didn't hold that against those people. I didn't look at every other man I came in contact or that I married or whatever. I'm thankful that I didn't hold that against them. I let everybody stand on their own merit. That's one thing I can do well in life, in relationships and in life. Let everybody stand on their own merit. Don't bring something from the past and push it on somebody else. And so that leads me up to say, if you are getting a divorce or you've been in a relationship or a long time relationship or a tight relationship, don't date until you're healed. I know that's easy to say. I know it's easy to say and sometimes hard to do, but you make it hard on yourself and on everybody else that you come into romantic relationships with. Because in life, we're going to be triggered by some things, some non romantic things, just life. And so when you bring that unhealed heart into a relationship, that's just, you're going to be triggered more. And if you go into it too fast, you do more damage than you do good. So I beg, I'm talking to myself too. I beg, don't just jump from relationship to relationship, especially older people. And I mean, that's for everybody. But the older you are, the more triggers you might have. And so I'm telling you, just by virtue of living, you know. But please, please decide to heal before you move on.
That's good. That's good. Come on, Miss Patricia.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not boast itself up. The good, the bad, and ugly of love. If you can find something to fight for, do it. I've had all three in my own marriage, and I found something to fight for. So that is why I'm still with my husband now, loving and appreciating and respecting him as he does me. And so we have to stick together when there's, some good stuff there. It's not always going to be easy, and hopefully it's not always tough. And so when you get those two things together, you find something in that, and that you feel like you can make it work, then it can work.
It can work.
Because as Mary said, marriage is work, but it will work if you work it.
Work it. Absolutely. I love that. And so again, guys, we just want to come on and just talk a little bit about it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly on this Valentine's Day. And what I want to leave is to piggyback off of Patricia, that it is work. And I think a lot of times in our generation, and so I'm finna be 42. So I think my age and younger, so going down millennials, and then what is it, Generation Z. I think that there is a such thing where it's in my grandparents' age, there was literal till death do you part, point blank, period. It did not matter what the reason. I think in this age, for better or for worse, oh, that was a pun, wasn't it? Anyway, but I think in this age and time, the patience of people, it doesn't tend to be the same, because it's more so like, okay, well, I got all of these different options, and so I'm marrying you and I'm here. But when you talk about the work, I think that there is um it's a lot less commitment of how much time I'm going to work, right? For older, so again, when you're talking about baby boomers and older, it was come hell or high water. This is all that it is. This is it, and that's it. And so it's hard. And I'm trying to just tell y'all what I know. It's not always easy. There are times when you feel like giving up. You feel like letting go. You might move out the house. You might separate. But at the end of the day, you have to decide for you. And I think that that's where I want to leave that. Every what might work for me might not work for Patricia, might not work for Beatrice, might not work for Tanya, might not work for Mary. We are all individuals. We do not stand and proclaim to know your situations. All we're doing again is just sharing what we have been through. So we all believe in marriage, but having said that, there are those of us that's on the panel who have been married, those of us on the panel who have been divorced, those of us on the panel who have been separated. So it has not just all been clear cut cakewalk. You're going to have your struggles, you're going to have your problems. But if you're with somebody who's willing to meet you halfway, you can make it work. And so that said, we invite you guys to join us next week, where today you heard from the women. The women talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of love. But next week, we're going to hear from the men. That's right. We are going to have some guests on the show. We're going to have some guys come and tell us their perspectives of love, what they've gone through, how they've been able to sustain, because we're not just one-sided. We want to let somebody else have a chance to talk. And so we know that a lot of the ladies that's tuning in, you guys may want to ask and hear from the guys. And so we're going to have that discussion on next week. And so again, we invite you to please join our Dealing with the Aftermath group on Facebook, because in the next few weeks, you will only be able to catch us on Facebook through that group. And so we ask that you go ahead, join the group. But for everybody who tuned in on tonight, we thank you. We ask that you please like and share the video and tag somebody that you believe would have benefited from this broadcast. But for tonight, we are saying good night, and we hope that this has helped you with at least one of your tissue issues. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Happy
night.
Valentine's